so much, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Executive Director. Life has a lot of funny ways. I arrived last night in London. I think that 20 years ago I used to work very close by while I was studying as a very bad barista. So, I'm very happy to be addressing today and talking to you about banking and financing instead of serving you coffee. So thank you so much, Chairman Orduz. President Moreno, which is, as some of you may know, is Colombian, is very fond of this initiative that Chairman Orduz launched, having the MDBs here in contact with all of you. So first of all, my presentation was supposed to be done by a colleague of mine, Esther Rodriguez, who was with you last year, I believe. She is about to give labor, so that's her presentation. And I reviewed it yesterday on the plane. I'm going to make a few liberties to make a few changes along the way. So please bear with me. So the IDB, just as our colleague from the ADB has said, the World Bank did most of our job. I don't know what you're going to be saying from the African Bank now, because they already cover all the procurement, except for the procurement, most of the policies aspect. So we don't have much more to say. I'm going to go through what the IDB is. IDB is, we've been created in 1959. That's, I believe, Cuba is here, so that's the same year as the Cuban Revolution. We have 26 member countries in the region. We cover Latin America and the Caribbean. And just like the ADB, we have Canada and the US, and up to 15 European partners and some Asian partners also. Maybe a difference from the IDB with other regional members, and I was wondering about the Asian Bank, is that the IDB is the shareholders, it's owned mostly and priority by borrowing member countries. That means that Latin American and the Caribbean countries own more than 50% of the bank. So that gives a particular philosophy at our board of directors. So our clients are mostly central governments, municipalities, more and more, private sectors, and some NGOs. We approved something very similar to what the ADB. Last year we approved up to $14 billion US. That's public and private. We usually approve at the moment up to 12 was last year for the public sector and up to 2 billion for the private sector. We have, just like the other banks, a AAA ratings on the public sector, what we call the sovereign guarantees, and AAA for the private sector windows. I can give you more numbers, I'll be happy to, but just to give you a broad idea, we usually have a portfolio of up to 30 billion that's about to be disbursed. These are the most sectors that we're involved on: social policy, infrastructure, institutions for growth, competitiveness, and all the environment issues that we're going to be discussing today. I work for the IDB office in Europe. We're based in Spain, and this is just publicity for myself. But the idea is, what are we doing exactly here? So these are the sectors where the IDB is involved. The bank has always been, and it's always been, an infrastructure bank, maybe like many other regional banks. The first loan we approved was on water and sanitation project. The Che Guevara, which at the time was the governor for Cuba, was not very much in favor and called what we would be, I don't know how you say this in English, a banco de letrinas. That was his remark at the time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to translate that one. But
I don't want to be politically correct, so go ahead.
If I may. So this is a sector of operation. Last year we had for the first time in a long time, we had more institution for growth operations. This is not in volume. In volume, we still have more operations happening in infrastructure and environment. And I'm getting lost in my. So okay. So this will be called. I'm sorry. This is the jargon we use at the MDBs. What we call sovereign guarantees. This is the public sector window, and this is the one that should be interesting most of you. So this is more or less a number that we are approving. As I said, 15 billion, so 3 billion that we approved for agriculture in the region for the last 6 years. On an average, we approve up to 6 operations per year in this sector, and we give up to a million in technical cooperation, that means grants. I won't go through you know this much better than I do. I'm a lawyer, so I'm far away of this, but this is the reality of the agriculture sector in the region, and on the coffee sector. This is the challenge that the bank is seeing for the agriculture sector. As just reviewing, the World Bank just published, is very similar to what our colleagues are saying, but maybe the most interesting thing for Latin America that, as you might be aware, we've been going through a decade of growth, what we call the decade of Latin America. However, the main bottleneck that we do find is competitiveness. So you can see the annual rate of growth in the region has been lower than the OECD countries, having 1.9 versus 2.4 over the last 40 years. In certain countries, such as Central America and the Caribbean, which I believe are present, this rate of growth has been even lower, reaching 1.1. This is one of the issues that we're going to be focusing more and more for the banking for those countries. So, and if I may go back, regarding climate change, we had on the last capital increase, we have a mandate by our governors, which are the Minister of Finance for most of the countries, saying that we need to work on climate change issues more and more, and we have to redirect up to 25% of our portfolio towards climate change issues on a very broad term. So, the bank has established a strategic approach to support agriculture in the region on the efficient resource allocation, social inclusion, and a high economic return on investment. And I'm going to go afterwards telling you what's about to happen soon. These are the areas of intervention that the President Moreira just established now. It's first one is the elimination of the price transmission mechanism. The second one is what we're working now, but with the fiscal part, is improving effectiveness coverage in the quality of rural public expenditure to foster investments. As you can see in this table, you have all countries allocate. You can still see it. Most of the countries allocate more fiscal resources to support private goods rather than public goods in the agricultural sector. This is one of the issues that IDB is aiming to tackle. The provision for the effective and modern agricultural service and rural infrastructure. And finally, when we need to promote more temporary direct programs and technology adaptation. So this is some projects that we've been involved in the bank that Chairman Bruce was mentioning. You can see it's a large project. I'd like to highlight here, I believe Haiti is here, but on this one specific project that we did with the Colombian Federation, which I believe is what we call the Sur-Sur Cooperation. And I would like to thank you, especially Chairman Orduz, for all your collaboration on this project, your personal collaboration on this one. This happened just after the earthquake in Haiti 5 years ago. And the Colombian Confederation is helping Asian coffee producers on all the process of the coffee production, leading from the very beginning to the very end product. As some of you may know, Haiti has one of the most appealing trade promotion investment with the US, and they can export to the US market. So it's thanks to the Colombian Confederation that we are helping. The bank is assisting, but with the knowledge of the Colombian Confederation. So this is what we call the South-South cooperation. And we looking forward to do more of this. But just going through on the project. Right now, this is a project that has already been approved. Right now we're working within the IDB with the Global Agriculture and Food Security Program with the Canadian Climate Fund for the private sector called C2F. And we try to target supply chain with e-com. And we're working for Nicaragua, Honduras, Costa Rica, Mexico, and Peru. And we're going to be channeling up to $100 million in long-term sub-loans to farmers affected by Roya. That's a program coming ahead within the year that could be of your interest. I hope that next year we're going to have more results and some news about the implementation of that one. I think the World Bank had a much nicer side, but this is more or less what the IDB project cycle looks like. At the end of the bank now up to 10 years, and I can tell you that I've never seen it happen really in those terms of time-wise. But the way we work is, first thing, like the World Bank said, and our governors are the Ministry of Finance. So our counterparts in the countries are the Ministry of Finance. So the first thing you need to work with is the Ministry of Finance and ask them for what we call the non-objection. We start working right away. I don't know about my colleague, but the way we work is we work with the election cycle calendar. So you have elections. We have what we start doing, what we call programming. We prepare the country strategy. So for example, at the moment, just to give you an idea of time-wise, we just approved, I believe Honduras is here, we just approved the country strategy for Honduras. Election in Honduras was a bit, so it takes some time. In the current process, we're going to approve the one on Colombia on April 30th at our board of directors. I know that President Santos was in August, but the election was in
June.
In June. So you see, it takes up to 10 months in this case in Colombia, and we're hiring in Colombia on to have the first step approval, what we call the country strategy. Within the country strategy, we're going to have a discussion with the Ministry of Finance and with the main stakeholders in the country to set up what we call the scenario A, scenario B, up to amount we're going to be financing. For example, I'm going to reach to Colombia, which is the one we're working right now. We're also working in El Salvador. We're also working the one in Costa Rica, just to give you ideas. In Colombia, we have a scenario A, which we will be financing up to, I think it's $1 billion per year on different sectors within the next few years. We're actually going to be working, if peace agreements were to be reached, which we hope for, we're going to be working a lot in the rural areas. So that could be an area where we could be working together. We have then we step in with the preparation and approval project. It says officially that we take up to 6 months. As I said, I've never seen a project that we call investment project, which is the project you would be interested in. We have what we call investment project. We have policy-based lending and emergency. That's more or less the 3 instruments we have for the public sector. We have to approve it, we have to go through a board of directors, and then we have the execution and supervisions. The execution varies in many countries. Usually it's up to 4 years, and with exception it can go beyond 6 years. It needs to be approved by our directors. In certain countries it's more difficult to execute than in others. In the rural areas it's usually much more difficult for us to execute. I just want to give you an idea. I mean, my colleagues skipped that one, but usually we will provide very similar lending rates, I believe. It's LIBOR 3 plus 85%. We have what we call a commitment fee, which is 0.25. It's on disbursed resources for the rest of the loan. We have a term of usually up to 25 years. My apologies, a mistake here. It should not be El Salvador. Unfortunately, for El Salvadorian delegation, it should be Nicaragua. It's a mistake. For certain countries, such as Bolivia, Jamaica, Nicaragua, Guyana, we provide more or less up to 40 years. The rest of the countries usually provide up to 25 years according to the instruments. And Haiti. Haiti is the only country where we only provide grants since the earthquake. We provide up to $200 million on grants per year for an 11-year per year since the earthquake. So there's a lot of self-publicity. I'll skip that one. No, I'm gonna be very short here because the private sector window is hopefully gonna be changed by the end of the month. These are the 4 windows we have at the moment. And at the very end of this month, we're going to have a governor's meeting in Korea, and hopefully President Moreno is trying to simplify it to better understand it and to regroup these under one single umbrella, which will be the one Inter-American Investment Corporation. So one window. This is the way we structure right now. As I said, this is going to be simplified at the end of the month, so I'll skip all that. But just for you to, we're still going to be addressing every single entity on the private sector, but it's going to be very much like, for those who are familiar, IFC umbrella. So I think the ADB is going the other way than we're doing right now, but we're moving along to the World Bank IFC. So just for you to this is still very in the making process, but this new entity called IIC, it's a different entity from the IDB. It's within the IDB group. So some of you might be familiar. We have within the bank something called the Multilateral Investment Fund. This is very innovative. It's what we call a lab within the bank, where we allow to be much more flexible, time-wise, policy-wise, and what we finance, and hopefully try to replicate it in other countries in the region. These are a few projects that we're working. We have, I was looking through 14 projects in the coffee sectors, average more or less $1 million each, and we have 4 active projects right now. What we do with this instrument, the MIF, we usually do have to partner by policy with private sector foundation or company. So for example, in Brazil, in this active project, we're partnering with the Newman Foundation, in Haiti with Nestle, in Peru with Junta Nacional de Café, and we have a regional project in Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Mexico with Root Capital. We're also working with the Ely Foundation and Ely Café on some educational platform for Central American countries called Ely's Universidad de Café, UDC. And we're going to be soon launching on in September 2015, President Moreno is going to be launching a new initiative that should be of your interest, Chairman Ardous, called AgroLac 2025. And this is redirecting what we're going to be working on the bank with the agriculture sector in the next 10 years. And we are right now partnering with many sector, private sector companies such as Mondelez, Keurig, Newman, Starbucks, Ecom, Mars, Kellogg's. We're in conversation with PepsiCo and others. Some financial institutions like Root Capital and others NGOs. The idea is to provide a platform for collaboration, funding, co-investment, and knowledge sharing. This is going to be launched in September, and we'll be happy. So next time we come back, we have something concrete to present to you. But the idea just here is to provide trade and access to markets, increase productivity, and agricultural and investment management. We will be providing finances through the ADB group, but also through any project that's going to be implemented, such as the Nature Conservancy. And this is something we should be exploring with you. You should be a valuable partner for this platform. This is a new platform that's already been launched. This is called Connect Americas. It was launched less than a year ago. Connect Americas, as you can see, is on the website. It's connectamericas.com. We have 4 partners: Google, DHL, Visa, and Alibaba. So the idea, it's what we call, or what President Moreno really aims to, is to be something like the Facebook, make more humble, for companies in the region. So why am I bringing this to you? This is the first platform that we have in the region where we connect all the Chamber of Trade that we've been working the last 40 years, the private sector companies, and open to the rest of what we call the world. So it's all Latin America. We discuss among each other. I mean, this is just a platform where we can connect, and we provide IDB services. First thing, the idea is to find clients, suppliers. I mean, European companies could connect, and we're actually actively promoting this. We'll be presenting this now in the upcoming Heads of State Latin American and European Summit in Brussels on June 10th. We're launching this in Florida soon with the private sector in the US. The idea is for any company, this is a free service by the way, can fill a form. You just raise which sector you're interested in, and you can, and suppose you want to invest. Suppose you're an, let's try to El Salvadorian company, and you would like to export to Colombia or to Spain or to the UK. But you go there in the community, you look for the community you're interested in, you look into the sector you're interested in, and you look into the countries and who are the clients who could be there. The bank does not provide any confirmation about the clients or others. We just facilitate. It's just a platform, but you can read about reputation, you can see product that we offer. You can learn. We're providing knowledge sharing with some universities. We're bringing Harvard, HBS among others here, to provide teaching, and we're providing all, for example, we just signed with ISEX, which is the trade Instituto de Comercio Exterior, the Spanish trade on the public side institution, and on this one, like Spain, on the ISEX is going to be putting online, available to all of you, all the requirements to export to the US, or to Spain. And we're doing similar with here in Europe with other countries. We're going to be signing with France soon, and the European Union, and others. And this is why what we said about the European Union was very interesting on Asia. You're going to find all the customs duties. Within the bank, the ADB is the richest, the one who has the more information on customs duties in all the region, Latin America and the Caribbean. This should be, the idea is to facilitate export. The bank being a bank, a development bank, but also a bank, we're going to be providing financing opportunities. We won't be limiting them to ourselves. We're also inviting private sector banks to So if you have, if any company has a project that they would like to submit for financing, IDB will be reviewing them, but we'll also be sending to our partners, to other private banks. And finally, just want to raise, I mean, this is still in the making process, but we do have, we have 4 communities at the moment, but the second one is the food and beverage, and I understand that the coffee is one of them, and that's why I was asked to specifically highlight this product for you. I'll be happy to answer any question afterwards, Chairman. Thank you so much again.